Hello everybody and welcome to Dynamic GT League's Redbull Junior Championship for Race 4 from the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit. Let's take a look at the current championship standings. Demon R leading the way on 57 points with SGP in second place, Steve F1 just ahead of Dave the Harp, and then Twilight just ahead of DGT League SRI. We then have James Hulkenberg joint on 7th place with Fluffy Planet, and then we've got Formula Gary, Bunzel, GT5 King, Schumacher, Rich Blues, Jason, Groover and Dex, with Rodder and Tyler yet to score a point. Have a quick look at the qualifying order for this event though. Race 4 from the Nurburgring. DGT League SGP taking pole position by 0.054 of a second ahead of Demon R. Steve F1 and James Hulkenberg are on the second row, with Schumacher and Twilight on the third. Dave the Harp and Jason are 7th and 8th, with Fluffy Planet 9th and Formula Gary 10th, and then we have Tyler, Groover, Jay Bunzel, Rich Blues, DGT League SRI, who actually qualified in about 5th place but unfortunately returned back to the pits just before the end of qualifying, so drops to the back just ahead of Dex, who makes his second appearance. Before we get on to the race footage though, we do have an announcement from the DGT League admins. So there we have it then folks, that'll be the car for the championship after this one, known as the Grevo Cup, using the Mitsubishi Group 3 Evo. Now joining me on commentary today, it's not James because he's away having fun with his girlfriend. So instead I have DGT League SGP joining me in the commentary box. Or would you prefer to not be referred to as that? You want to be referred to as Steve instead?
I think it'd be better for today for me to be known as Steve.
Alright.
Yeah, just keep it as Steve.
Okay, fair enough. Obviously though, you are DGT League SGP, which means you are an admin, so if any of the drivers have got any questions about the car that you've just revealed as being the next championship car, how may you answer them? For example, people might say, why have you prohibited setups on the cars?
I would say, ask Ray. No, I'm joking. No, I mean, prohibited setups, very interesting way for the league to go. But the thought process is, it's a very drivable car with the standard setup, and it gives drivers the opportunity to jump in the car and learn the car on the track that they're going to be racing on, rather than going, do I need more aero, less aero? What do I do with my gears? What do I do with my cambers? And instead of a driver spending half an hour to an hour trying to tweak things, it's bing bang bosh, you're on the track and you're trying to set lap times.
Is it something that's is it a change that you're gonna keep for every championship?
I'm actually going to say no, but it could be. And so it's a possibility. I think it's going to be car dependent. The car's got to be drivable. So whichever car we pick in the future, if it's a little bit tail happy and we think, you know what, this car is really good with a bit more rear wing, then there's no point in us locking out the setups on the car. So like for the cars we're using currently for this season, if we'd have said no setups on the Red Bull Juniors, I think a lot of people would have struggled more than they are doing.
Yeah, okay, so would it be fair then to say that by prohibiting the tuning, that you're effectively just, well, you're giving all of the drivers the opportunity to just spend more time on the track improving the driving? Not saying that people need to improve, but just spending more time driving rather than tinkering.
yeah, hopefully it'll bring the whole grid closer together, because there's obviously the drivers that don't get much time to practice, which means they don't get much time to tweak the setup, and then you've got drivers that get time to practice and tweak the setup, and it gives those drivers sometimes a bigger margin. So hopefully, I'm not saying that, I mean, the fast drivers will tend to always be fast, but they're going to have less of an opportunity to tweak the setup to give them an extra edge. So hopefully it'll just create even closer driving.
Well, it'll be interesting to find out. Now, I am aware that the DGT League admins had sent out a couple of questions to the drivers. Interestingly, I've been talking to Steve F1 and he was telling me all about it. Okay, he wasn't, I just thought I'd say a name. But I am aware that you've sent a couple of questions out to the majority of the drivers that have been here for a while, let's put it that way. Asking, let's see, what was the first question? It was, what do you think about tyre wear? What would you prefer, like tyre wear sort of as it is, or no tyre wear, or tyre wear that would just about get you to the end of the race? I mean, there was another question, but I'm just curious why these questions have come about.
It's just to get an idea of what the majority of the grid feel about the way the league's being run at the moment, and maybe possible changes for the future. I mean, one of the things we have noticed from a lot of the drivers is they've said, we like the way it is, but this might sound like a good idea by tweaking this, that or the other. So as good as everything is at the moment, we always look to see what could we do to make it even more fun, or more of a challenge for the difficult drivers.
For the difficult drivers? Who are they? Who are they there, Steve? Who's the difficult driver? Come on.
For the difficult drivers for me to beat, like you.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so more of a difficult challenge for the drivers that are up at the front. So it's just a way of evolving the league, really. That's all. And with the tyre situation, we have had drivers saying, I think we should do a season or two, or scrap tyre wear. It might happen one season, but the response from a lot of the drivers is they like it the way it is.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that because they like it the way it is, it'll stay that way.
Yeah, but at the same time, the questions that you've asked them, there's no guarantee that those things are going to be put in place. I mean, one thing I would say is that I think people perhaps have to remember is the Dynamic GT League is still very young, and although yes, you and Ray have got plenty of experience of running racing leagues on other games, Dynamic GT League is very new. It is only in its third championship, I think it is.
Yeah.
So I can understand why you perhaps might want to look at doing a few things differently in different championships, just to see how things work. So the other question, which was about, or what about having qualifying for the first race, but then from every other race it's in reverse championship order. I mean, some people might just may have an opinion on that, but I think from an admin's perspective, there is the mixing things up a little bit, but it's also, it gives you 9 races or 8 races effectively of seeing how the setting the grid order works, and if it's got any problems, and if it's something you want to use in the future, you've got experience of using that system.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we want to do at Dynamic GT League is be able to not necessarily just evolve the league, but look at different ways we can run the championship season on season. So it's not always the same structure each season. The whole idea of mine and Ray's league, the name Dynamic, came about because we wanted it to represent something that can change and evolve, and so that we're willing to look at putting reverse grids in there and no tyre wear at some point, and maybe even certain tyres are not allowed, or only one set of tyre, one compound of tyre. There's lots of things we can do, but if we do make a change, it doesn't mean that's the way it's going to be for the rest of the time. That's what it's going to be for that season coming up.
Yeah. Okay, last question on sort of the car reveal then. The last 2 championships and this one coming up have all been what effectively is a one-make race. Is that a feature that's going to be staying?
I can't say for sure, but it's something as admins we do like, and there's a very good reason for it. And we noticed that in season 1, which was the Group 4s, everybody in the first race was in lots of different cars. But after a while, it was like, well, he won in that car, so I'm going to use that car for the next race. And then everyone starts to like molligate towards one type of car. And then when I started winning a few in the Audi TT, all of a sudden you've got 6 or 7 Audi TTs on the grid. And it's like, well, if we were to say, for instance, okay, next season we'll allow you to use one of these 4 cars. Each car costs you £500,000. First thing I'm going to go and do is buy each one of those cars, that's £2 million, to find out which one's quickest. And then I'm going to use the quickest one, and so is everybody else. And there's a good chance everyone's going to be driving the same car anyway and overspend all their money trying to find out which was the fastest car. We might as well just say one car make championship, but that doesn't mean it always will be.
Yeah, that is true. Okay, I think that was the last question that I said I was going to ask you. Obviously, some of the drivers, they may be concerned about how the Mitsubishi Evo is gonna drive, and without being able to tweak setups and things like that. But I am aware that that car and a number of others were tested at many different tracks by a handful of different drivers, and I think, if I remember rightly, Steve, didn't it boil down to like it was sort of one of a possible 3 cars? And seeing as Ray isn't here, we can blame Ray for it. It was Ray that made the final decision.
Yeah, I mean, there's not just, to be honest with you, yes, it did kind of boil down to about 2 or 3 different cars, 3 cars in the end, but there are about 4 or 5 cars that we want to use in championships.
Yeah.
That will get used in championships, and it's just a matter of, okay, which one do we go to next?
Yeah.
So this next season is the Evo. That doesn't mean that when you drivers that were helping us do testing, and I'll use Gary as an example, he loves the Porsche, the Group 3 Porsche, and he would love this championship to be the Group 3 Championship Porsche, and he might be upset that it's not. It doesn't mean that we're not going to do it at some point. And the same with Dave the Harp, he loves the Beetle, so do I, so does Ray, and we will use them at some point. But for this next season, we feel that with going to no setups, the Evo is a very good solid car for us to try with no setups.
Yeah, I mean, it works on twisted tracks, it works on tracks with few corners. It is a very solid car. The only other thing I will say is, I mean, for the drivers, I mean, it is potentially as well, it's a championship where they can try and save some money perhaps for whatever cars may be used in the future as well.
I will just come in on that and say yes, and it is worth the drivers always trying to save some money, because one of the cars on our list is a £1 million car. And when we announce that we're going to be using a £1 million car, we will give drivers more notification. So for an example, we will notify them earlier in the season that the following car will be a £1 million car.
Yeah.
Not always necessarily saying what that £1 million car is, but at least you know that you're going to need a £1 million car by the end of the season.
Yeah. Okay, is that then why you've been doing, when you've been doing practice sessions, you've actually been doing lots of little races rather than just sitting there doing laps in a practice session?
There are other reasons, but yeah, I mean, it is good to do the 10-minute races. It took some money in the guys' wallets on the game as they go along, but it is also, it helps with the close battling practice if you're starting everyone on the grid at the same time rather than just doing your lap practice. But the money is obviously a big part of it.
Okay, good stuff. We've waffled on quite a bit there about the car reveal, so guys, feel free to let your thoughts known about the upcoming car.
Message Ray.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how that's going to get on in the next championship, which will be known as the Grevo Cup. Okay, as for today though, we do need to get on with the action from the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit, so we're going to get on to that. So the drivers are on the grid then. Anything you know about this track, Steve?
Part of it was designed by Michael Schumacher, the Schumacher S. Interesting part of the track.
That it definitely is. The drivers are ready then. SGP sitting on pole position. Demon R joins him on the front row. and it's lights out and away they go, and it looks like a decent start from SGP, and Schumacher again a good start as well. SGP covers off Demon R heading down towards turn 1.
James Hulkenberg tight up the inside, looks like he's trying to make a move on Twilight. Twilight's made a good move. Twilight up to 4th, that's not a bad start for Twilight. Yep. And Demon R keeps 2nd.
Oh, he is hanging on just about, and I see we've got a new driver, Twilight. He's been called everything this season. Oh, Hulkenberg, he's pressuring Demon R in these early stages. Twilight is in 4th place, and Steve F1 is all over the back of him. SRI, though, he started way down the grid because he didn't return to tracking time after qualifying. But Hulkenberg sitting in 3rd place, Steve. Surely he's going to be showing us some Dan Dare moves today.
Well, we're coming up to the hairpin, and you know what's going to happen in that cockpit when he's going down towards that hairpin. It's going to be Hulk break. Is he going to make the move though? Oh, we've got Schumacher in 10th place. Is he going to make a move? He's making a move on SRI.
I tell you what, I think SRI saw the move coming. Tyler's pressure in the back of Schumacher though, and Bunsell all over the back of him as well. Schumacher had an interesting debut last time out. Oh, Demon R is closer to the back of SGP. Hulkenberg sitting there waiting, watching. He won't want to drop back too far now. At this current moment in time, we don't know what tyres the drivers are using as SGP dips a wheel on the gravel. That gives Demon R the opportunity to go side by side through the kink and up towards the chicane.
That's a good move, that is. Can he cover it off into the chicane? Looks like he's gone a little defensive. SGP though, nothing he could do about that. He's just going to have to wait for an opportunity to come back. But will Hulkenberg close up now on SGP? He is right there. Oh, SGP up the inside. Is that going to put him in a position to make a move down into turn 1?
Oh, it nearly did, but Demon R managed to come out of the corner just ahead of him. That has allowed Hulkenberg to get a little bit closer. Hulkenberg will get a decent slipstream here. SGP, though, took it under that rear wing. Pulls out now, going up the inside into turn 1. Can he do it on the brakes? Side by side they go. I think there may have been a little bit of contact, but they keep going. Hulkenberg is wondering where to go. Surely he's got to fit that car into a gap that it can't fit in.
He's tried that before. I'm not saying it's always worked, but he's tried it before.
Oh, Demon R was going defensive. SGP looking up the inside though, and in the background Twilight still fighting Steve F1. Twilight's doing well actually to fend off Steve F1. Demon R going defensive though, up towards the fast left right as Hulkenberg trying to sneak in as well. SGP all over the back of him, up the inside into the right hander. That's a fantastic move if it can make it stick.
That's put him in perfect position though to try and make the move. Oh, he's tucked back into the slipstream. I was about to say perfect position to make a move into the hairpin, but he's changed his tact. He's gone wide.
Yeah, Demon R got a little bit of understeer there, and that has now really allowed Hulkenberg to get in the fight to this one. Oh, Demon R closes the door.
That was a great exit out of the corner from SGP to come out ahead of Demon R.
It definitely was. And there we can see Twilight, Steve F1 and Jason were in the background as well. But this battle for the lead is really beginning to heat up. We're only on the 2nd lap. We've got 22 laps to get through today. And I was getting onto the tyres. We've got racing super softs, racing softs and racing mediums. All Steve F1. He's all over the back of Twilight.
He is. Is he going to make a move into the chicane? It looks like he's going to. Twilight late on the brakes has got the move covered. Jason there right on the tail waiting to pounce as well.
Yeah, and SRI, even though he started on the last row of the grid, he's up to 7th place. And actually, I think he was up to about that, but he's going for another move now. Oh, what a fantastic exit from SRI. And ahead of him, Steve F1's got a decent run on Twilight, but Demon R having a look up the inside. No, he's not. SGP covers the inside. Now Hulkenberg is having a look up the inside.
I don't know what to say next because I thought Hulkenberg was about to make an overtake there on Demon R, but he had that covered.
Yeah, I wonder if Hulkenberg's playing a bit of a safe game here, you know.
This is what's catching me by surprise. I'm all ready for saying Hulkenberg's done the late breaking move, but he's not done it yet. Yeah. He's quite patient. He must be trying to stay calm.
Unfortunately, we have missed it, but Steve F1 has managed to get ahead of Twilight, and SRI has managed to get ahead of Jason, and so has Schumacher. But while we've got to fight for the lead, we are going to be sticking with that for the time being. Get ready for it to cut to the cars behind.
So we're heading down into the hairpin again, one of the best places on this track to try and create an overtake, but there's no opportunity this time round for the top 3. Can Demon R get a good exit heading up towards that Schumacher S? It can be extremely flat out in these cars, but unless you've got the aeros too low, and it can be a little bit twitchy.
Yeah, it definitely can. You do not want to be oh, Demonard did have a good run because he has closed up behind SGP, seeing if SGP will defend the corners, but not happening. SGP is just sticking to the racing line at the moment and not running wide on this occasion. Hulkenberg dropping back a little bit. That could be a little bit concerning for him, but I'm wondering, you know, I mean, we don't know what tyres the leading three are on. Oh, 3 wide, Formula Gary, Tyler, Fluffy Planet in a different livery this time around. He's going defensive, is he? No, he's going... Oh, that was a huge crash.
Yeah, that to me looked like Fluffy there. Knew he was making a bit late on the brakes there, and decided to take evasive action by going to the inside of the track.
Yeah, and while that has happened, Demonard trying to pressure SGP down into turn 1. SGP covering the inside. Demonard going for a switch back, is he? Yes, but I think SGP may have just about covered that off. Demonard now hung out to dry, is he? No, he's trying to squeeze SGP, but SGP's having none of it, and here comes Hulkenberg out of nowhere, up the inside. Demonard seen him coming, and now Hulkenberg, is that the same driver?
It can't be. It cannot be the same driver. It's obviously not the Hulk in that car, because he would have been pushing his way through a lot sooner. But he's looking to take the lead now.
That he is, and you know what? The way that he's driving today, he could, if he can keep this pace with these two. I mean, let's face it, SGP and Demonard are not slow drivers, so for Hulkenberg to A, stick with them, and then B, get in between them, shows he's got some good pace around this track.
It definitely has. We're looking at Twilight with Schumacher right up behind him. Schumacher going for the move up the inside, and that's what I was on about with that hairpin. But can he get a good exit? It looks like he's come out just ahead, but he's going to be under pressure now towards the end of this lap, if that's for sure.
He definitely could be. So Hulkenberg's ran a little bit wide. He does not want to be doing that in this next corner because it leads on to the back bending straight. But I think he may have just about got away with it because Demonard, yeah, he's a little bit too far back. SGP opening up a little bit of a gap now. Looking back again at Twilight as Dave the Harp. He's been struggling a little bit around this track, and behind them it's 3 wide. Oh, and there's a bit of contact. That's Jason and Bonsall and Tyler in the background as Twilight's trying to fend off Dave the Harp. The car's behind her. All trying to take the same bit of tarmac.
Yeah, I mean, this track's not the widest of tracks, isn't easy to overtake on, and when you make it 3 wide, it's even narrower.
Yeah, it's not nice if you make it 3 wide. Tyler, though, I think he might be on his debut actually here. I'm not entirely
debut in this class of car. It's his second race in DGT.
Okay, and he's making the move on Jason as Dave the Harp makes the move on Twilight. Oh, Twilight was going for a switch back, but he's hit the back of Dave the Harp. I think I think he sacrificed the position there and sort of said, yeah, Dave, you had that one, I'll let you go. Behind them, Jason has succumbed to Tyler. So Twilight started running in 4th place. Going down the order a little bit now, though.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if he's on a softer compounded tyre and they're going off, and the guys around him are on a harder compound and are able to make the moves at this stage of the race, because I would have thought that in the next lap or two we're going to start seeing some pit stops. Yeah,
I mean, usually it's around about 10 minutes we'd see people coming in if they're on the super soft tyre, or even on some tracks the soft compound tyre. Jason in the background having a look up the inside of Tyler. I don't think he's quite got the move made, but Tyler's given him the space, has he? Yes, he has. So they're going to go side by side, but we're going to cut away from that to have a look at SRI coming under pressure from Schumacher. Not something I thought I would ever say.
No, definitely not. But the SRI's run wide, and that's given Schumacher the opportunity to swing by and pull out a bit of a gap there with Steve F1 a little bit further up the road.
Yeah, that it has. So, talking about pit stop, talking about pit stops and strategy, but Fluffy Planet and Tyler, they're bumping uglies down the bend away.
Bend away. Nice description of a straight with a bend in it.
So Fluffy Planet has to concede.
Is that Tyler?
Yeah, Tyler
pit
got all out
lane?
No, he just got all out of shape. But there is a couple of cars heading into the pit lane just ahead of the 10-minute mark. I think Twilight is one of them. SRI is another one. Twilight was on a harder compounded tyre. I think he was on the medium tyre, you know. SRI on the super soft. Fluffy Planet, though, having a look at the inside of Jason down into turn 1. But we go back to the leaders because you know what? They've all closed up again.
Yeah, and these three could be running 3 different compounds of tyre, and I'm wondering if SGP's on the soft, SGP on the super soft, James on the soft and Demon R maybe on the medium, but we'll find out when they do go for the pit lane. Could they all be running the same compound? I suppose so, but it's just one of those tracks that you just can't tell until the tyres start to really drop off the cliff.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. I mean, this is a bit of a tyre killer of a track, but at the same time, if you look after them, they'll treat you well. So we are going to have to wait until each of these drivers heads into the pit lane to see exactly which tyre they have started the race on. SGP got a little bit sideways there, I think. That might give Hulkenberg a decent run at him. Yes, he's having a look, but SGP fends him off, and that's allowing Demon R to close the gap. But SGP going super defensive there as Hulkenberg trying it around the outside. Is he? He is going to try it around the outside, but I don't think he's going to make it work. I don't know. Oh, there's nowhere for Demon R to go either.
And SGP's just kept ahead there. But he's got to defend against two cars here. Hulkenberg's going for it into the chicane. Bit of a contact, but they're going too wide through there. Not an easy thing to do.
I don't know. Hulkenberg does a beautiful move up the inside on the brakes. Not a late move, and SGP just goes, nah, there's a door here, I'm slamming it shut.
There's a side pod here, and I'm slamming it shut.
Oh, you know what? Steve F1 and Schumacher have started closing in on the leading three.
They have. It's just as these three start battling and putting pressure on each other, it's allowing the two behind that are not battling each other so much just to catch them up.
Yeah, so we could end up with a 5-way battle for the lead of the race. What I will say is, though, we have gone past the 10-minute mark, which has tended to suggest that this is not going to be a 3-stop strategy for any of these drivers. And in recent races, actually, Hulkenberg has been doing some very early pit stops, which unfortunately has been leading him into too many stops, although being fast at the end. It would clearly appear that this time around he's not gone that route and it's working for him because he's pressuring SGP down towards the hairpin.
Can he make a move around the outside? Would he have a better exit? I'm not so sure. It's very close. But what I'm just having a quick look at is the track map. There's a bit of a gap forming between this group of 5 at the front and the pack, but I don't think that gap's big enough to make a pit stop and be able to come out ahead of the pack.
I think you could be right there, as we've got Fluffy Planet and Groover going side by side, and SRI, who has recently pitted, coming past Fluffy Planet through the fast Schumacher S's. That could get tricky. It could get really tricky, but Fluffy Planet fends off SRI. Clearly, he doesn't like Iron Brew.
Well, don't forget as well, SRI, fresh tyres. He'll be able to accelerate a bit earlier, brake a bit later, take corners at a slightly higher speed. And if Fluffy Planet's not done a pit stop yet, he should be a sitting duck. And same for Groover.
Yeah, that 3 wide down here, that's a tricky situation to be in. Dave the Harp's in that as well, and he has not, he has put Demon R into the pits, by the way, and he was running the soft compound of tyre. Steve F1, he's into the pits, he was running the super soft compound of tyre. So Demon R has shown his hand. What are the other guys going to do, Steve?
Well, we're going to find out, I'd assume, next time round. But what's going to be interesting here is where are those pair going to come out? Because if one of them or both of them come out behind the pack, it's going to slow them up a lot. I'm not saying the pack's slow, but it takes time to come through the pack.
That it does, as Dave the Harp can attest to all too well from recent races. Demon R comes out just ahead of Twilight and ahead of the majority of the pack. He's got Dave the Harp ahead of him, and I think Dave the Harp has not pitted yet.
Yeah, he's not pitted yet. So the guys in front of Demon R, there's only SRI that has pitted. So SRI is sitting in pretty good place at the moment. He's done an undercut on Demon R at the moment.
That he has. Now Demon R is going to be potentially getting an undercut on SGP and James Hulkenberg, but only if he doesn't get held up by either Dave the Harp or SRI. So if he's going to make moves, he's going to have to do it quickly, like Jason is trying on Groover and Steve F1. Steve F1 came out at the back of the pack. That's what you were talking about, though, Steve. Too many Steves here.
I mean, Demon R and Steve F1, there was only a few seconds between them, but that's the difference between coming out in front and behind the pack. And this is going to hold Steve F1 up now for this stint mainly.
Yeah, quite possibly. It could be extremely costly. I mean, he was ahead of Schumacher when he pitted, and you would expect him in normal circumstances to be ahead of Schumacher when Schumacher pits. But it's again very frantic. Demon R is all over the back of Dave the Harp now as they go through the bend away, catching up the Iron Brew monster. And
I'm looking at the pit lane, and we've got guys in the pit stops. We've got SGP on super softs, we've got Hulkenberg on softs, and Schumacher on super softs. Now that's the tyres they were just running, not the ones that they're putting on.
Yeah, Dave the Harp having a look up the inside of SRI, and SRI giving him the room. That's great to see. Dave the Harp gets a little bit twitchy on the exit of the corner, and Demon R is boxed in, but this is now for the lead of the race. So SRI is leading the race, and where is SGP and Hulkenberg going to come out? That's going to be interesting to find out, but these are going to go 3 wide, are they? SGP comes out side by side with Twilight, Hulkenberg just behind him. Demon R now up to second place, forces his way past Dave the Harp. Dave the Harp's trying to fight back though. Is he going to have a look up the inside? Not when Demon R covers it off like that, but now SRI comes under pressure, and SGP making the move on Twilight. Hulkenberg trying to make the move on Twilight as well, and that puts him into SGP, loses him the position. Hulkenberg sneaks through. Steve F1 has lost a lot of time, and he's now there as well behind Twilight. Oh my goodness.
So after the first round of the pit stops, who's it paid off for the most? You've got to say Demon R, even though SRI is leading. SRI is going to have worse tyre wear towards the end of this stint. But yeah, you've got SRI leading, who's already pitted, who've got the biggest undercut, but Demon R, perfect time for a pit stop. SGP, who was in the lead, has come out behind Hulkenberg and Demon R because of that incident just.
Yeah, that he has, and Demon R now pressuring SRI. SRI is making it difficult for him. He's not going to make it easy, and that's what we like to see. We want to see people battle for their positions, regardless of what position it is, unless there's a blue flag flying.
Yeah, sometimes we do see incorrect blue flags on this, which is a bit interesting as well. Yep. It's like when there's a car in the pit lane, they wave the blue flags for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, that is true. Okay, Demon R and SRI going side by side up to the chicane. How are SRI's tyres going to cope? Quite well on entry, but he's a little slow in the middle of the corner. Dave the Harp trying to get involved in this as well, taking full advantage. So Demon R steals first place, Dave the Harp steals second place, and he's actually trying to take first. And here comes Hulkenberg. He's caught up to the back of him already. And there is SGP as well.
It's all closing back up again, and this is what Ray needs in a way. SRI, he needs everyone to be close behind him, so when he pits, he's not too far away. Because obviously, I'd have thought he'd be the next car to pit for the second round of pit stops.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that SRI is on a completely different strategy than the leading 3. Hulkenberg has had to work his way past SRI and Dave the Harp, who are looking like they're giving each other a bit of space there. SGP trying to get Dave the Harp to speed up a little bit, and they're still side by side. No contact made, but SGP is now into a little bit of a box. Dave the Harp, though, fending off SGP now into the faster corners, and I think SGP's had a spin. He's had a spin, Steve.
Disastrous, that's all I can say. His name's just gone dum 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 down the timing tree, and well, he's not in 8th place, he's leaving lower than that, and I'm pretty sure at some point we're going to find out how far down the order he is. Yeah. But yeah, the little bit of contact there, looks like he was on a bit of grass, bit of contact, and sideways in the road. But he's not in the top 8 anymore. No,
unfortunately, I was looking away from the screen at the time that happened, but SGP is battling now for 11th place, forcing his way past Tyler. I don't know, he does a livery for the guy, and then he scratches it up.
I know, but 11th place now for SGP, that's a long way from the lead. I mean, you can look on the track map exactly how far away that red arrow of SGP's is from the lead cars. That could be his race over and done with, unfortunately, but he's just going to have to try and see what he can do from there and bag some decent points from this race.
Yeah, Formula Gary looking to attack Twilight. SGP in the background, Twilight covering Gary off there. That's made Gary be quite slow in the middle of the corner. He could end up being attacked from behind as Bunsell also around SGP. Or Gary leaves a little bit of space that SGP decides he's having. I think that may have been a little bit too forceful.
It was the space is there. He's putting his car there, and Gary was like, "You're not having any more space than that, mate."
4 wide in the background, though. That's going to get tricky. Tyler on the tightest of lines. Formula Gary going straight on. Tyler manages to get through ahead of that quadruplet.
So SGP up to 7th already within half a lap. That's not too bad, but it's still about the same distance, if not further, away from the lead.
Yep. Now Fluffy Planet and Tyler, they've been battling for quite a bit through this race, although Tyler looks like he's pulled over. He's on the grass at the moment. He doesn't really want to be out there. You get dirty tyres. These cars do not handle very nicely. Okay, Demon R leading the race. Hulkenberg has actually been able to close that gap up on him. Hulkenberg pitted a lap later than Demon R, which means, although Demon R got the undercut early on, Hulkenberg will have a fresher set of tyres. But if they're only on a 2-stop strategy, Steve, what would you say that Hulkenberg would have to do when it comes to making the next round of pit stops?
Is either, with him following Demon R, he's either got to try and think, when is Demon R going to pit and I'm going to pit a lap earlier, or pit at the same lap. If he goes a lap longer, it's going to make it more difficult for him. Yes, he'll have fresher rubber at the end, but the undercut seems to be massive around here.
Schumacher is attacking SRI. Schumacher seems to be running a lower wing setup, which is giving him a bit of straight line speed, but SRI is having absolutely none of it. He's defended this inside line a few times. Schumacher going around the outside. SRI still trying to fight it. In the background, SGP trying to close up to Jason, who I think is heading to the pit lane. Yes, he is. Schumacher and SRI still side by side, but for some reason we're looking at SGP driving on his own. And there we go. Schumacher has made the move. Sorry we didn't see that on camera, guys.
No, great camera work there to look at SGP. Unfortunately, it wasn't great camera work to see the move from Schumacher.
I wonder who's in control of the cameras.
SRI.
Oh right, I thought it was SGP.
SGP gets told which camera to go on by SRI.
Oh, all right, okay, fair enough. Okay, so SGP is now on the back of SRI. One thing I will say, we've seen improved driving from a number of drivers over the course of this championship, and SRI is one of them who has improved quite a bit over recent races. And I think it's been helped by getting on to do a bit of practice on a day that isn't race day.
Yeah, it is quite a lot of an improvement from SRI, and it's literally been just an hour here or there, just literally probably a maximum of 2 hours maximum over the week, maybe even just on the one day, just putting some lap practice in, and it's helped him quite a lot. Just imagine how much quicker it would be if he practiced even more.
Yeah. And imagine how much quicker it'd be if SGP wasn't smashing up the rear end of his car at every corner.
SGP's making him quicker at this point. SGP's giving him the move on here. It's like, come on, speed up.
I've got to say though, I mean, we've seen. Oh, I thought that was going to be a dive bomb then. We have seen dramatically improved driving from the likes of Hulkenberg in this race, and it surprised me. But what I've got to say is, all of a sudden, instead of there being like lots of not necessarily moans and groans, but oohs and ahs about the stuff he's doing as he's crashing or stuff like that. He is in a legitimate fight for the win here.
Yeah, and you can honestly say that none of his overtakes in this race have been late or dangerous. He's made, when he's pitted, he had to come through a few cars in the pack, and it was literally, I'm going to drive by them when they make a mistake. And all he's done, to be fair, is followed the lead majority of this and made a move when it's been safe to do it, and it's paid off for him.
Yeah, he's even been cleaning the cones up off the racetrack. Good lad.
Yeah, it was probably him that put them there in the first place.
I think you're right, but SRI actually. Who it has paid off for as well, all the incidents that have happened in this stint, is Steve F1, because obviously he's gone from 4th place to 3rd place, and Schumacher, on only his second race, is sitting in 4th place. So he is going to have SGP trying to hunt him down now. If we look at the track map, we can see that Steve F1 and Schumacher are the two cars behind these two, and then SGP is not far away, broken away from the pack, which he will need to do. But yeah, Hulkenberg, he's having an absolutely stonking race here. I'm not surprised his girlfriend's taking him away for the weekend for a little bit of fun in the sun. Oh, it's Jason having a look on the inside of Twilight into the hairpin, is he? Oh, you know what, I like that from Jason. He could have thrown it in there, but he waited to see if the space was given, and then he went for it. Fair play to Jason and to Twilight for realising he was under attack there.
Yeah, great move, and it's a brilliant corner where, as long as the space is given there for you to be able to do that, it is a nice move to be able to make.
Yeah, that it is. Okay, looking once again at Hulkenberg as he gets a little bit bumpy over the curbs there. But yeah, I mean, at this stage of the race, it's definitely looking like he, and it's unusual to say this, like he is the faster driver out of these two up at the front at the moment.
SGP. Yeah, that's an early pit stop. If he's doing just 2 pit stops, maybe he's trying to do a bit of an undercut on the front too here.
It could be, but I've got a feeling he's going to come out right in this pack.
Yeah, but what's his other options? I mean, if he just matches the guys in front of him, he's not going to benefit from it. So trying a bit of an undercut might be a bit of a last hurrah for him.
It definitely could be. Okay, Groover currently sitting in 7th place, coming under attack from Twilight as Jason ahead is trying to apply pressure to Dave the Harp, but can't quite do it. Groover holds on to that 7th place. Twilight holding on to 8th. Formula Gary sitting in 9th at the moment. Formula Gary has been changing his livery recently as Fluffy Planet has a look up the inside. I don't think he got that move done. No, he didn't. He wasn't able to squeeze through there.
No, I'm just thinking SGP's going to have 15 minutes or more, depending on when the timer runs out, to do on his last set of tyres. That's a long way to go.
It is a long way to go, but I suppose it depends on what tyres he's on. The soft tyres can do about 15 minutes if you look after them. But the problem is, if he's at the back of the pack, he's not going to be able to look after them. He's going to have to push like mad to try and get through the pack to make it pay. What's going to be interesting as well, though, is where these two end up when they make their final pit stop, because there is a big gap between the leaders and the pack at the moment, so they both could come out in clean air. But if they take too long to pit, if they keep going, then they could end up with that pack closing up. And Demonar's into the pits now. He's wasting no time whatsoever, so that means Hulkenberg is going to take the lead of the race, I believe, because he hasn't followed him in. No, he hasn't. And Demonar did do soft tyre, so Hulkenberg leaves the race. Steve F1 into the pits. Dave the Harp taking evasive around Jason, as Jason has made the move on him through the chicane, or has he? No, he hasn't, because Dave the Harp's fighting back on the exit.
Yeah, and Jason just needed to make his car a bit of a flat pack then to fit through the space. But yeah, he's going to have a run down into turn 1 on Dave the Harp here.
This is bonkers though. Looking at that main straight and seeing basically 4th to 11th or 12th all together, it's absolutely mental. And Steve F1 has come out right at the back of this pack. Demonar is just up ahead. He's come out ahead of the pack. So I think Hulkenberg, because he didn't pit, he's going to have to pit now to come out ahead of this pack. And Dave the Harp is leading it and is being challenged by a Scotsman and a Swede.
Yeah, Scottish Swede. Demonar though, pound seat there, coming out ahead of the pack in 3rd, and once again Steve F1 in the middle of the pack, if not towards the back of it, after his pit stop, and it's going to hinder him again. But SRI trying to make a move on Dave the Harp going down towards Hairpin. I don't think he's got enough of a run. And there is SGP just in the background. He's up to 7th place after his last pit stop. Yeah,
I tell you what, Jason, he's making the move on SRI actually around the outside. Or is it SRI and Jason? No, it is. It's Jason on SRI. That's a lovely move from Jason. He's going to have the inside line for the first part of this corner, but then he's going to have the outside line. Is he? No, he's just ahead. But we're looking at SGP. No, Jason's ran wide. So they're side by side. Oh, they're not going to go 3 wide, are they? This is mental. This is absolutely mental. But this is why people say that the Dynamic GT League is one of the best out there, even though it's still young, because you are racing from start to finish. Not, oh, there's a 10-second gap, there's nothing I can do.
Hulkenberg into the pits, soft tyres were on his car.
Okay.
Schumacher, super softs.
Okay, we'll have to see where he comes out. SGP trying to make the move around the outside of Jason. It's getting a little bit physical. It's getting physical everywhere. This is absolutely bonkers. You know what? I think this is the closest the field has been since they formed up on the grid.
You might be right there. You could well be right. But SRI, 2nd place. It's looking like he's going to have a strong finish here. It says 3rd place because Hulkenberg's just returned to the track in 2nd, but how far off the lead is he?
You know what, he is quite a way off the lead, considering he was right behind Demonar. I think he's about 4 or 5 seconds behind Demonar now, and Hulkenberg is going to have to be careful because SRI, SGP have been showing pace, and Jason, as always, he's nowhere near the front at the start of the race and ends up scoring decent points by finishing around 4th, 5th and 6th, and he's up in 5th again at the moment. CPI Schumacher came out in the pack as well, and he is still behind Steve F1, but normally Steve F1 would have got a massive undercut like Demonar got on Hulkenberg, but because Steve F1 was stuck in the pack, the undercut he got was all of what, a second?
Yeah, it's very minimal really, wasn't it? SRI just gone a little bit wide, left the door open for SGP, and there's a nice move. So that's SGP into 3rd now. He's going to have to try and hunt down Hulkenberg. So this has put SGP in a good position for a podium place here.
Unless he's going to have to pit again, but I can't imagine that's what he'd have gone for. 2 sets of super soft tyres and knacker them out. Maybe a set of soft tyres and see if he can make them last to the end. I mean, if you can hold on to 3rd place, then I think you'd probably say after the spin or drop into the back of the field, or Bunsell and Gary getting side by side, you would say that it was a good recovery.
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting up into 3rd place, maybe what he'd be better off doing now is just making sure he stays ahead of the guys behind him and not worry about the ones in front.
Yeah, Bunsell heading into the pit lane in a beautiful gold livery. I'm going to have to tell him they're reserved for champions. Steve F1 all over the back of Jason. SRI can't hold on to SGP. Schumacher all over the back of Steve F1 as well. And Steve F1 will know that. And Schumacher's having a look up the inside. Steve F1 sees it but fends him off. Can you tell that Steve just took for a drink? That's why he didn't say anything.
I had a mouthful of juice when you stopped talking. I'm like, what do I can't say anything.
It's surprising how much it does your voice doing this commentary. We used to do commentary together before, but it was a much sort of more relaxed and things were happening every now and again. Whereas this, it's bosh, 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 bosh.
There's always
non-stop.
something.
Yeah.
It's like you just don't know at this moment in time whether Schumacher is going to overtake Steve F1 or is Steve F1 going to overtake Jason. And in the background, you've got Tyler trying to overtake F1 Gary. It's like, there we go, Steve F1 overtaking Jason down into the hairpin.
No, he's not, because Jason's taking it right back round the outside. Oh, no, there's contact. I think contact. Jason lost the rear. And is he... Yeah, he's conceding the position, and here comes Schumacher trying to squeeze through there as well as Steve F1 touches the gravel. So Jason, I think he did the right thing there by lifting off and letting Steve back through. But it has allowed Schumacher to apply the pressure on Steve F1. Steve's running a little bit wide, is he? He's not going to want to end up too slow here, and Schumacher's got the position off him. Lovely move.
Great move there. Steve F1 in the slipstream though, up towards the chicane. Jason down to 10th place, unfortunately. I'm wondering if something else happened in the midst of that as well.
Quite possibly. Twilight though fighting Tyler for 8th place. Formula Gary's gone deep. Twilight's gone a little deep as well. Twilight's heading to the pit lane, so Tyler takes that position off him, and Formula Gary's into the pits as well, and so is SRI. So it's a late pit stop for SRI there. You know what? I have no idea who's going to finish in what position at the moment, other than the fact that Demon R has been able to hold the 5-second gap to Hulkenberg, and SGP is beginning to close in on Hulkenberg. Yeah,
and then we've got this battle here for 4th and 5th, and this could go either way. I know that Schumacher's only just passed it, Steve F1, but a tiny bit of a mistake from Schumacher, and F1's going to be back past him.
Yeah, he definitely could be. So don't go anywhere, folks. Also, Steve, I believe you had a message for the viewers, didn't you?
I don't know, have I? I forgot.
it starts with, hey.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Siri, call last number dialed. Shit, where's my phone?
I put mine on airplane mode earlier, so I'm safe. Everyone watching now is suddenly going, oh, no, don't call me grandma, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. We haven't talked about this.
If anything's just happened, I've not seen it.
If you're ever sat on a bus, I dare you, anyone, to sit there and just do that. Go, hey, Siri, dial last number, and see how many people shit themselves. Oh, excuse my language. Twilight, he's battling. He's recently come out of the pits with Formula Gary and Jason, I believe. So they're on fresh tyres. I've totally kind of lost track with that little story section there. So what have we got? The situation: Demon are still leading, Hulkenberg second, SGP still third. I think Steve F1 and Schumacher are still 4th and 5th, or 5th and 4th, given their names. Twilight, he's on fresh tyres trying to attack Formula Gary, who's on a new livery. Jason going defensive against Groover in the background. Groover, I think he missed the previous race, and I don't think he managed to get a lot of time practicing for this one either. Tyler doing well, sitting in 8th place at the moment though, but I do believe we have Fluffy planning. I think that may have been a bit of an evasive rather than attackive.
Yeah, either that or it was just I tried to make a move but I cocked it up.
quite possibly. Okay, Steve F1, you were saying that all it would take is a mistake from Schumacher. I mean, to be fair, Steve F1 is not a shabby driver, and he will be more than capable of hanging on to Schumacher's coattails and seizing an opportunity if it arises. Demon R, though, still leading the way, and I think Hulkenberg, I think he's going to be kicking himself at the moment, because I think really he should have pitted at the same time as Demon R. If it had pitted at the same time, it'd have come out right behind him.
Yeah, and he wouldn't have had any of the pack to come through at all.
He didn't have that anyway, but he wouldn't have had any of the pack behind him putting a bit of pressure on. Oh, SRI! Getting a little bit squiggly there.
Yeah, Bunsell right up behind Fluffy Planet. I must say, I do like the yellow on that new Fluffy Planet car.
Yeah, it does look good, does pop. Also, it means he doesn't get mistaken for anybody else's Fluffy Planet trying to go around the outside of Dave the Harp. It's not going to work in that corner. He may try around the outside in this corner, but I don't think that'll work either. The switch back to the inside could, but now they're 2x2. Or SRI took it up behind Dave the Harp as he put Fluffy Planet wants that bit of tarmac. SRI's boxing him in, basically saying, I want this, and SRI's... I thought he was going to make 3 moves on one straight or 2 moves on one straight, but it's only going to be... No, it is. He's done 2 moves on one straight. Moves. I thought it was going to be 3. Yeah. Dave the Harp into the pits. That's a late pit stop.
That is a late pit stop, that is, from Dave the Harp.
Fluffy Planet.
Saying how long he went on his first stop.
Yeah, Fluffy Planet's in the pits as well, though. So I'm wondering if this is a track where Dave the Harp has really suffered with his tyre wear and he's decided at the end, you know what, I'm going to stick on a set of really fast tyres and see if I can get to a higher position than what he was just in.
Yeah, he's going to leave himself a lot to do with not a lot of laps to go.
Yeah, 2 laps to go at this current moment in time. So, has SGP caught up to the back of Hulkenberg? Well, there's Demon R. He's still that 5 seconds ahead of Hulkenberg. But has SGP caught up to the back of Hulkenberg? That's the bit I want to know. Well, there's Hulkenberg. He's looking a little bit... Oh, yeah, he's pushing too hard, isn't he? He's looking a little bit messy, and SGP has caught up to him. But Jason is all over the back of Formula Gary.
Yeah, Jason making a move around the inside there. Formula Gary, I was going to say hairpin. That wasn't a hairpin, it's the corner before. That could give Gary the opportunity to come back at him.
It definitely could, but no, Jason fending that off quite nicely. And ahead of him, we've not spoken about him at all this race, Rich Blues. He's still new to the wheel, but he's pressuring Groover at the moment. Fantastic stuff for Rich Blues at the moment. Let's see how he copes with Jason on fresh tyres right behind him. Is he gonna... Yeah, he's conceded the position there, I think. I mean, for Rich Blues, he is still learning, A, what this car is capable of, and B, what it's like racing on a steering wheel. And when you've not done it before, a 40-minute race on a steering wheel suddenly becomes a very exhausting experience.
Yeah, and you wait till the summer kicks in. Jason making a move on Groover, and he's past somebody else. Wonder if somebody went deep there. Oh, Jason's gone deep. Oh, that's going to give Groover the run back out of the corner. He's going to have all that hard work to do again.
Yeah, I think Jason was lifting to make sure that Groover did keep that position as well. It's all getting a little bit frantic as Twilight is there. Oh, Steve F1 is pressuring Schumacher, so they're still fighting for 4th and 5th. We've only got this and 1 more lap to go. And looking at the track map, it does look like SGP is closing up to the back of Hulkenberg as well, but this at the moment is the closest battle near the front of the race. So Schumacher coming under pressure. Steve F1 is a wily old fox. So anything could happen here. I was trying to think about something funny from Birmingham, but other than where are they in the championship was all I could think of, and it didn't quite rhyme with Wily Fox.
No.
Okay, Twilight coming under pressure, is he, or is he making the move? He's making the move on Bunsell. Jason is sitting in 8th place, so he's still hooked up behind Groover, but he's got Twilight pressure in the back of him. Formula Gary in 11th place. Where is Dave the Harp? There's Dave the Harp. Dave the Harp's in about 12th place at the moment, so the pit stop, I think you would have to say, right now, hasn't benefited him, but there is still a lap and a half to go.
Yeah, I think he's only going to get back to the position he was currently in, though. I don't think he's going to necessarily benefit. Well, he's not going to lose out from doing the pit stop, but he's not going to benefit either. Ooh. Twilight making a move on Jason there.
That was a risky move, but it looks like it's worked. It has. I like it, Twilight. Formerly Gary having a look up the inside of Jason. Is he sticking his nose in? No, he's backed out of it. Wise choice that, because Jason ran a little bit wide. Now formerly Gary can try and pounce, but he's got Jason getting a slipstream, and Bunsel's coming rapid behind him. So formerly Gary's going to have to go defensive, and here comes Dave the Harp. 1, 2, 3, how many cars? 4 cars. He's overtaking.
And he's going to make it another one. There's Jason, he's passed as well, so he's up to 8th place. Can he get Twilight and then target SRI, who's just a bit further down the road? There's Hulkenberg though. What's the gap? That gap has come down to not a lot at all.
Yeah, and we are on to the last lap of the race. I wouldn't be surprised if things get a little bit dramatic towards the end of this race, as Dave the Harp is trying to attack Twilight into turn 1. Side by side they go, but Twilight has got the inside line. Is he going to cover it off? Yes, he is, but I think Dave the Harp's going to chuck it up the inside into the next corner. Yeah, look at the benefit of the extra grip. Excuse me. Nothing Twilight can really do here. Dave the Harbour's got so much more speed in those tyres, and SGP is just closing in on Hulkenberg. I think Hulkenberg's tyres have gone off, you know. Someone else has gone off as well. I think it might have been his internet. Oh, it's back on. There you go.
Yeah, I think SGP then was like, yeah, fast him. Oh shit, no, I haven't.
Sorry about his language. Dave the Harp sitting in 7th place then, so he has got back up to the position he was in before. But Jason attacking Twilight. Yes, he is. Side by side they go into the hairpin. Rich Blue's trying to attack Fluffy. No, it's Groover attacking Fluffy in the background as well. But Jason, that was a beautiful move. Is DGT League SGP close enough to Hulkenberg to have a go into the final chicane? We're going to have to wait and see. Is he close enough? No, he's not close enough to go for the move, but he is closing the gap big time in the braking zone. However, the race has only got one more corner to go, but Demon R is going to cross the line at the Nurburgring to take the victory. SGP though having a look up the inside of Hulkenberg. He's making the move, is he? No, this sideways into the pit wall. That's going to let Hulkenberg take 2nd place. SGP is now coming under pressure from Schumacher. It's a drag race to the finish line. Who's going to make it? Who's going to make it? It's Schumacher. Takes 3rd place. 4th for SGP. 5th for Steve F1. DGT League SRI coming around the final corner to take 6th place. He's had a great race, and then it's Dave the Harp sitting in 7th place. So he managed to get through and hold on to that 7th place with Twilight and Jason right behind him, and then in the background they're still fighting. Fluffy Planet and Bunsel are going to cross the line in 9th and 10th, no sorry 10th and 11th, and then we've got Groover in 12th place. Tough race for him, and then Rich Blues in the beautiful livery coming around the corner, but he has got formerly Gary all over the back of him as they make their way to the line. Well, that was an absolutely mental race there. I've got to say, Hulkenberg, easily his best performance in Dynamic GT League so far. However, SGP was so close to taking that 2nd place away from him. For it all to go wrong on the final corner, the final lap, he must be absolutely devastated.
Well, I did say what he probably should do earlier on in the race is try to look in his mirrors more and consolidate that 3rd place. Don't worry about catching the guys in front. Be pleased that you got that 3rd place because of what happened earlier in the race. Did he throw it away? What's your thoughts?
Yeah. To be fair though, the opportunity was there. Hulkenberg was struggling on his tyres towards the end. I mean, Hulkenberg had a very interesting race, and for me, definitely one of the drivers of the day in that race, because he was sensible in that 1st stint and the 2nd stint. He drove beautifully, but I wouldn't be surprised if once he'd made that last pit stop and he saw the gap, and within the next lap or so the gap didn't come down, I'm thinking a bit of the Hulk was showing, because if he was pushing too hard it would have hurt his tyres, cost him time, and that's where towards the end of the race all of a sudden SGP is able to close that gap.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show though, from Hulk's point of view, you can have a good race without having to make difficult or dangerous overtakes.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, okay, he got a reasonable qualifying, put him up on the grid in a reasonable place, but what did he do throughout the race? Kept his nose clean.
Yeah.
and he finished in a good place.
His arse ain't clean though, not after that finish. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, looking as well, CPI Schumacher sneaks through onto the podium after that drag race at the end with SGP. I mean, it's only his second race in the DGT League, and I mean, I know that. I know of him from previous racing, and so do you. And we know that he's capable, but he is very new to the game. But he is showing that he is more than capable of racing.
He is, but one of the reasons why he's up there, and I think the previous race he was on the podium, this race is on the podium, or maybe he was just out of the podium on last race. Can't remember exactly, but he's been scoring good points last couple of races. Reason why? He puts a little bit of practice in each week.
Yeah.
And he's a good driver.
Yeah.
I will give him that.
I mean, admittedly, I was talking to DGT League SRI last night, Friday, sorry. Bear in mind, this is the day after the race. We're chatting, and SRI was on the PlayStation. He was, oh bloody hell, Schumacher's practicing. And so SRI, he was pleased to see. He actually went into his lobby to spy on him for a bit. Okay, he said he wasn't spying, but he was interested. But SRI went and joined him for a bit of practice, and it is good to see drivers doing that, getting on, and even if it's just spending 10-20 minutes. But I suppose in a way this is where in the next championship, where drivers don't have to worry about setup, when it comes to going and doing a bit of practice, all you have to do is drive.
Yep, exactly that. Exactly.
Yeah. Now, did SGP finish in 4th, or did Steve F1 steal that place off him?
No, SGP did get 4th place. Steve F1 looked like he must have had a bit of a difficult lap, because he did finish a couple of seconds further down the road from Schumacher, because they were quite close together.
But it is possible that Steve's tyres went off towards the end, but still solid points for him. SRI though finishing in 6th place, I believe, 2nd race in a row. He's doing well. He is doing well, and it looks like he's having some great racing. He's having fun out there.
Yeah, and it's well deserved as well, keeping his nose clean again, and just goes to show what you can do when you drive respectfully, I should say. I'm not saying he wasn't doing before.
No,
but
I would say what happens when you drive with a smile on your face.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah. David Hart, a difficult race for him this one, struggling with tyre wear early on in practice. I think he came into this race knowing it was going to be a tough one, but from what I've heard, he had fun. He enjoyed himself out there.
Yeah, but all I can think about from Dave the Arp's race there is, if he'd have pitted a lap earlier at the end to give him that extra lap to catch up, could he have got SRI or maybe Steve F1? How much further could he have pushed through?
Sadly, we'll never know. Who else stood out for you there, Steve? Any of the guys a little bit further down the grid?
Well, yeah, for me, Twilight, great start to the race. He wobbled a little bit in the middle, but we saw some great overtaking towards the end. And in the end, he finished in 8th place.
And I have just got an email off his missus saying, yeah, he does wobble a bit in the middle. Sorry, mate. Tyler made his debut, unfortunately didn't get to the end of the race. I think there may have been connection issues there. Seemed to be not doing too bad though.
Yeah, again, I do know that he's not had the game for long. He's not been able to put much practice in. So if we do see him on track again in the future, because he is one of the reserve drivers, which means when a driver lets us know that they're not available, it does allow Tyler to race. So if you are in a situation where you can't race, let us know. We can get Tyler on the grid, but it would help Tyler. Even if you're not aware if you're going to have the race, Tyler, put some practice in anyway on whichever the track's going to be next. In this occasion, next week's track is Fuji, the short, so that means it's not got the chicane. Do some practice on it anyway, and then if you do get chucked in at the last minute because someone can't race, you're ready.
Yeah, that's good advice. Formerly Gary and Fluffy Planet looked like they had some interesting battles out there today.
Yeah, and Fluffy's Planet, Fluffy's Planet's car, I must say, I much rather that yellow than the red, because you see it coming.
Yeah.
Okay, it's coming and it doesn't stop, but you see it coming.
Who else was there out there? Groover, tough race for Groover. Like I said, limited practice for him. So I don't think he should be too disappointed with his result. Rich Blues, he's not been doing too bad with him being brand new on a wheel, and I mean this is not a slow car to get used to.
I was just about to say exactly that. If I had just gone out and bought my first ever console wheel, what would be the least popular car for me to recommend someone to go into to practice? I don't think I'd be saying go and drive the Redbull Junior. No, I think I'd be saying something along the lines of try Group 4, something with a bit of aero that's not too powerful. Get used to the steering of that, because the Redbull Junior, you've really got to know how much you can throw it into corners to make the most of it. But keep sticking at it and the pace will come. And take this season as a learning curve and then hit the road running next season.
Or hit the road driving, that'd be faster. Okay. Just to let the drivers know, or anyone that's watching, any reports that were placed by the drivers, I will go through those in a few moments time when we're looking at the confirmed race result. I just want to say though quickly, Steve, thank you very much for joining me on the commentary.
Thank you very much, never again.
Yep, no problem. I'm glad I didn't have to do it on my own, because my throat would have packed up halfway through. It would have sounded like, instead of having me and Hulk doing commentary, it would have been me and Darth Vader. But we have to say congratulations once again to Demon R for taking the victory here. He's got a decent grasp on the championship once again. So if I was you guys, I hope you all agreed the reverse grid order might be a good idea for next season. Anyway, let's take a look at the confirmed race result. So to the confirmed race result then, Demon R does take the victory, James Hulkenberg second, Schumacher third, SGP fourth, Steve F1 in fifth, DGT League SRI in sixth with Dave the Harp seventh, Twilight eighth, Jason ninth, Fluffy Planet 10th but with a penalty, and I'll get onto that in a moment. Bunsell finished 11th, Groover 12th, Rich Blues 13th and Formula Gary 14th, also with a couple of penalties. Tyler and Dex unfortunately did not finish, however they did take part, but it was a difficult race for them. Okay, I've got the steward's notes from the reports that were made. So Fluffy Planet, it would appear that he's cut the corner at the final chicane to complete the overtake, deemed to be an unfair overtake, and should have given the place back to avoid a penalty. So it's -3 penalty points from his season total. For Formula Gary though, let's see, I'm not going to mention any of the notes about incidents that have not resulted in a penalty. Okay, so Formula Gary makes a late overtaking move, hitting Jason off the track and passes Jason. Formula Gary with an unfair overtake, should have given the place back to avoid a penalty. -3 points for him. And then another one. Yep, let's see, Formula Gary in a flat out corner. Gary's footage has been checked and he doesn't brake there on other laps. The incident causes both of them to go off the track and lose time and a place to Groover. If Formula Gary for some reason braked by mistake, as in he didn't mean to, he should have given up the position to Jason as an apology. Formula Gary should have given the place to avoid a penalty, and that's why he's got a -3 point penalty off his system. It also says here, Gary, don't brake apart from when you need to, reference incident 5. Okay, let's get on to the championship standings order. As I mentioned though, for the rest of the reports that have resulted in no penalties, check out the DGT Facebook page. Okay, Demon R, after a victory here, now leads the championship with 77 points, with SGP in second place on 58. Steve F1 is in third place with 46 points, and closely behind is Dave the Harp on 43. We then have Twilight and now James Hulkenberg joint fifth on 40 points after that good result for Hulkenberg, and SRI with a bit of a gap to the driver behind him, which is Schumacher, 10 points between the two of those. Fluffy Planet is on 26 points, and then we have Bunsel in 10th on 21, and he's followed by Jason, formerly Gary, Rich Blues, GT5 King, Groover and Dex, with Rodders and Tyler still no points for them. Anyway, next race is the Monza GP circuit. No, it's not, it's the Fuji Short circuit. I'm getting ahead of myself. The Fuji Short circuit, that's the one without the chicane. Just to let you know, the race video for that one may be a little bit delayed in getting up as I'm going away for the weekend. So I hope everybody has an enjoyable week and a great race. Make sure you like, subscribe and check out DGT League. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all again soon.